Next up, we have Cluosh and Hetti teaching us about the beginning things of CTF. Thank you.
Hello, everybody, to our talk, BalCCon Beginner CTF Introduction. So we have our overview. So first we'll talk about what is CTF. Then we will show you the two kinds of CTF styles, the Jeopardy and the Attack Defense. And then the last topic is like the BalCCon Beginner CTF we organized for you. So who we are we are students at TU Vienna, both of us. We are playing at the CTF team of the university called We Own You. And thanks to the SBI research that is hosting our infrastructure where most of the services are running. So I will give to Cluosh the part, what is a CTF?
Hi. So when you think of CTF or capture the flag, you probably think of some shooter games where you just have to shoot enemies and capture the flag. For us it's a bit different. When we talk about capture the flag, we mean internet security competitions where we solve some challenges and find some flag. And the flag is usually just a text string that proves that you solved the challenge. Why is this fun? Because you can manage to play in a team and you can challenge yourself on internet security challenges. And there's also a global ranking and overview where you can compare teams of different countries. It's called CTF time. It's also basically a central hub where CTFs are announced. For example, the BalCCon Beginner CTF is not announced there because it's not exactly public. But if you ever want to play a CTF, you can just look it up at CTF time, check it out, and you'll probably find a CTF every other week. So there's no shortage of CTFs there. So what does playing CTF look like from our perspective? When you look at hacking in the movies, it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna hack this, and 10 seconds later everything blows up. And when you look at reality, it's mostly just one person sitting in front of a PC, staring at the screen. And then you think, okay, I might be able to exploit this. And then you think, okay, no, that's not gonna work. So you're gonna play CTFs in a team. Then there are two people sitting there. You're gonna stare at the screen together. And you think you could do that. You'll find out that won't work. But your colleague might have an idea. And if you play a CTF online for the first time, it's probably gonna be pretty frustrating if you don't know what to do. So there's basically two distinct styles of CTFs with minor variations available. One of them is Jeopardy, the other one is Attack Defense. Jeopardy is the most common form of CTFs, mainly because it's very easy to organize, or easier to organize than Attack Defense CTFs. You have basically a list of challenges in different categories. You pick your favorite category, you work on a challenge, you solve it, you get the flag, and then you're done. You have a flag, this challenge is solved, and you won't have to solve it again. And it usually takes 48 hours, or about 48 hours. The different categories are usually pawn, which is exploitation, mostly binary exploitation, but exploitation in general. Reversing, where you either reverse binaries or weird file formats that aren't very common. Web challenges, where you exploit web services. Forensics and MISC, which forensics mostly falls in the category of reversing, and MISC can be any challenge, can be completely unrelated.
Can be trivia questions, for example, or like searching for something on the internet.
Or it might be not even security related. For example, we had one challenge at the CTF CTF where there was a 9-hour video, and basically you had to find the flag in the 9-hour video. So we thought maybe it's just one frame in the 9-hour video, but instead of one frame, it was a blinking light at the bottom corner, and it was a webcam of Tokyo. So someone had to go up there every hour and turn on the light or turn off the light to produce a Morse code flag. But they forgot that that the sun would rise eventually, so they had to improvise and open the window and close the window. We basically were just sitting there with post-its on the screen so we can have the region isolated with the light going on and off, and just sat there and decoded the Morse code, which was pretty painful but still a fun challenge. Yeah, in Jeopardy, once you solve a challenge, you get the flag. And once you get the flag, you won't have to look at the challenge anymore. And compared to attack defense CTFs, because attack defense CTFs usually are shorter in a time range of about 8 hours, and Jeopardy style CTFs are in the time range of 48 hours. That gives you a lot more time to solve the challenges, and that means the challenges are also pretty demanding. Recent CTFs, for example, the Chaos Communication Club CTFs at camp or at Congress, are notorious for their 0-day categories, where you have to use actual 0 days or find actual 0 days to solve the challenge. It hasn't always been this way. There used to be easier CTFs, but now it's all about getting more complicated and producing harder challenges. A small example challenge from this year's DEF CON qualifier CTF, a challenge I worked on and liked is we basically had given a small OS kernel, and we could perform some basic functions, like it was an interactive shell where we could list the files and we could cat some files, and it had basic support for environment variables. We know there was one file that we couldn't leak, and we had to find a way how to leak it. It was called Honcho, and we couldn't just cat it because it was forbidden in the code. So we had to somehow find a way to circumvent the check in the code. After reverse engineering, we found out that the environment variables were stored in a simple data structure. For the values of the environment variables, it was basically just an array of pointers, which would point to the memory location where the value of the environment variable was stored. Now, what was interesting was that you could do variable expansion with a $, just as you could in actual bash or in actual environment variables. But unlike with the normal environment variables, this wouldn't result in a length check. So you could basically just take one really long variable and then create another variable and use the $sign to expand into this variable, and the expanded variable would just override the bounce check and produce a heap overflow. Fortunately, this was pretty simple, because right after the heap there was this array of pointers. So if you managed to put a chunk right at the end of the heap and then override the environment variable, you could write into this array of pointers and then basically get an arbitrary read, because you could manipulate the pointer in any way you wanted and read and write at every place in the memory. Now, what did this look in real time? It basically was 5 hours of painful heap layout creation, which resulted in some drunken drawings on the whiteboard. And in the end, we actually solved it, we thought. But what we only managed to dump was the Honcho file, which was basically a hypervisor that ran the kernel, and the flag was outside of the hypervisor. So this was actually a second stage, which wouldn't have been that bad, but the hypervisor ran on OS X, and none of us had a Mac or any Mac experience whatsoever. So we basically spent 12 hours exploiting this challenge, but didn't solve it in the end, but we still had fun.
Well, then there is the attack defense category. The biggest difference is that there are not challenges, but there are services. There are services like web servers or some FTP server, whatever that is running. And each team has their own server with running services. Normally you have like around 6 to 8 services during attack defense CTF. And each team has the same service with the same data, and everyone has like have the same databases. And normally it's like 8 hours long. I mean, there was some CTF that went 24 hours attack defense. It was really a tough time. Some guys for the team didn't even sleep. They hacked the whole time, 24 hours. They were really broken afterwards. And like the playtime is split into ticks around. Like one tick is around 5 minutes, and in this tick multiple things happen. So let's see how a tick works. In one tick, the gamebot distributes the flags to all the services. Then the teams run automated exploits or manual exploits. So if you have some really hard service where is it hard to automate it, sometimes teams just manually exploit the service to get like first blood, whatever. And then the third thing is that the gamebot checks whether the distributed flag is still there. Like that says, okay, the service is still running and it's fine. If some flag is missing in the service, then you will get some points removed from your score, because there is a SLA, service level agreement score, and this one is decreased. And so the thing is also, sometimes there are services where the team finds exploits that they can delete flags. So they exploit the service, get your flag and deletes it. So the other teams won't get any flags, and you get even points reduced because the flag was deleted by other teams. So the idea is in the end that you steal the flags of other teams and patch your own service. So how is this in pictures? So you have a big network, and there is the Orga part of the network with the gamebot, and the whole network is put together with VPNs. And then there is like Team 1, they have also a VPN connection to the Team Orga network. And there is the vulnerability box, that's the box with all the services running. And there are also clients. Well, normally you shouldn't like add these clients directly to the VPN, because they will also be probably attacked. So normally you don't really connect the clients to the VPN directly, only the vuln box. But you can do it, but probably if you have bad luck, the other teams will attack your personal computers. So not recommended. And there are of course also other teams like Team 2, 3, and N. And so in the first round, there are the vuln box, and there are the different services running on one box. And there can be a web server, some binary that is running with a service. So there's really different, also some really obscure languages that are compiled to some Flask service. So it's really the whole range of services that can run on this vuln box. So in one game tick, so we call it game tick X, the first thing is that the gamebot deploys the flags to the services. So there is, every time there's one like API or one thing how he can deploy the flags to the service. And it can be like some API, or it can be like that he creates an account on a service and stores the flag in a data field of this account. So it depends on the service how it stores the flag. Then the teams start to exploit the other services or other teams and steal the flags of them. And then they submit it to the game server. There is some API where you can submit all the flags you got. And then in the same tick at the end, the bot also checks if the flags are still there, if some service is reachable, if the service is working. One thing is also to know that normally flags are only valid for like 5 ticks. So if you have like older flags that are from older than 5 ticks, they are normally not accepted by the gamebot at attack defense. So they're only 5 ticks are valid, the flags that you catch from other servers. So that's like one thing, explanation of ticks in capture flags. And also the major thing is, it's not just only the exploitation of services, but also how you play this, like the gameplay. Because normally you play it as a team, you need an infrastructure. So some CTF organizers give you a virtual server on a network, so you don't need to have own infrastructure. And some CTFs just provide you a virtual box image, and you need to have your own computer to run it and to set up the network. So it depends on the CTF. And yeah, how the team will react, like everybody can read the network traffic. So if you attack other teams, they can check out the traffic and see what we're doing. So in the end, if you have a bad exploit, they can read the exploit, what you did in the traffic, and they can just replay it, for example, or also exploit if you exploit other teams. So Wireshark is a really important tool at this kind of CTF. And also there's, of course, a rule set for CTFs, and also the gameplay is also then depends on the rule set. And yeah, also as in real life, there are no 100% fair rules. And also you need to enjoy the game, and sometimes it also happens that sometimes teams breaches the rule and they also get punished. So one time, one team DDoSed the whole network, and the whole CTF network broke down at the end. And the consequences was that the team got disqualified. It was first place, and it tried to DDoS one team, and in the end, they DDoSed the whole network. The whole CTF network break down. They got disqualified, and the organizers made a really cool write-up what happened and how they found that this team was DDoS the network. We have some examples of online attack defense CTFs. So there is RusCTFE, it's a Russian CTF. It's a pretty stable CTF that is done every year. And it's hosted towards end of the year, like December, November in this area. Then there is ICTF, also known as the chaotic shit show. Well, it's a really good CTF. It's sometimes really chaotic in some parts of organization or during the CTF. And normally it's happening in March, and it's one of the first attack defense CTFs that started to make CTFs in this style. And then there is fast CTF. They are quite newcomers. And it's usually in May and June. That's just an example. There are even more attack defense CTFs. But if you compare with Jeopardy style CTFs, the thing is that there are not a lot of attack defense CTFs, like I would say like 10 or 20 per year. And Jeopardy have like every week or every 2 weeks, some CTFs in Jeopardy style. So we've also some example of a service. So we played the Innovar's attack defense CTF. There was the service called Shitter. It was a web server written completely in Bash, a completely web server written in Bash. And well, the thing is, it has custom HTTP return codes. And it's really screwed us up. So we said, okay, we found something how to get flags. You just register an account there, and you can like get all the users, and then you can get from the users the flag if you visit the profile. And I thought, okay, let's just make a simple Python tool. Okay, import request, the request library, make a URL request to this web page, register account, and then we wrote it down and started. Well, we just get the error message because of the custom HTTP return code. The request library just breaks. It just gives us error and doesn't work with the custom HTTP return code. And so we said, okay, what to do next? Because we like screwed up. And then we like used curl. We called curl via Python on a system command line and did it with curl in the end. But it was really a really bad hack because they screwed up the request library with the custom HTTP return codes. So what is the service? It refers to Twitter, and it's like a Twitter clone. So it's like Shitter, and you had in the end like a log of Twitter messages, like Shitter messages. You can check out the whole source code of the challenge on GitHub with a write-up. And they built up multiple vulnerabilities. So normally in attack defense in a service, normally they put up more vulnerabilities to exploit. Like you have like 1 or 2 or 3 ways to get the flag normally. Even sometimes you have the possibility to get the flag over a different service, like cross exploitation is also something that's possible. And in this service, we had a authentication bypass was possible. There was an info leak, and there was an admin bypass. And the example for the admin bypass was this one. In the end, I realized it really late, even it was nearly the end of the CTF, because we had a log of registered accounts. And there was this code in middleware.sh, and I checked the log, and every time people register accounts with admin 1234, and it wasn't really suspicious for me, but in the end there is, oh fuck, they make registering admin accounts, because there is this check if user is equals tilde_admin, and this means if you have like admin 123, it's also equal as admin user. And there is also and debug flag is set, then the user is admin. And the thing is, in the first you check normally the config of some web service, and there was this was a config file, and there was the debug equals 1. And the first thing we'll do is like, okay, just set it to 0. But the thing is that this service is, if you set it to 0, the -n still evaluates to true, because it checks if there's any value in this variable. So even if you set the debug to 0, it will still evaluate to true the -n debug. And so with the combination, if you set like debug to 0 and had like a registered account with admin 123, you still got the admin flag set. So you had to read the evaluation of if clauses in bash to realize that you need to delete the whole debug string in the config that it don't evaluate to true. That was one of the bugs we found, and then I at least patched the user is admin tilde. That was then not working anymore. So the BalCCon beginner CTF.
Yeah. Our beginner CTF is a Jeopardy style CTF because it's basically easier to host, and we're doing this for the first time. So if this works, maybe we're doing an attack defense next year. This also means you'll have the different categories, and you'll get specific challenges for the different categories. We mainly focused on writing simple challenges for beginners, as in you have some kind of programming background or computer science background, but you've never done any exploitation stuff or web stuff or reversing stuff. And we wanted for once to provide simple challenges, really simple challenges, and we wanted to hide the scoreboard, because usually if we just put out simple challenges, they will be solved in no time, and then the more experienced people will instantly take over the scoreboard. So we decided to hide the scoreboard, but we're not hiding it for the whole CTF.
Because of some annoying Slovenian people here. No, our initial idea was really to have no scoreboard at all, but in the end, I know people want to compete here, and we say, okay, we will take it no scoreboard until tomorrow evening, and then tomorrow night we will enable it for the last hours. But in the end, it was like really intended to have no scoreboard at all. But still, well, let's compete in the evening tomorrow.
So for everyone wanting to compete and showing off their skills, we'll have some really hard challenges. We'll try to give them an appropriate score count to make sure it will be possible to differentiate them from the simple challenges. Yeah, the scoreboard will be available tomorrow evening, and then you'll have still have the whole Sunday. And challenges you solve now will also show up in the scoreboard later, so just in case. Yeah, for everyone wanting to get competitive. And at least I won't release all challenges at the beginning. I will add more challenges, especially for reversing and pawn. And we have people contributing challenges like Kirillis, who's writing challenges right now at this moment.
Just in time.
So there will be more challenges added over time. And yeah, the CTF will start soon, in about 15 minutes, if everything works. and it will end on Sunday at 6 p.m. The important part is tomorrow there will be workshops for people who have never played CTF before and who want to get into it. We will be available there at our CTF area, in the hack area, most of the time. And you can also ask us stuff you're interested about outside of the workshop hours.
So if you have questions, come to us, ask us. If you need hints, maybe we can give you some for some beers, whatever. Really, if you have some struggles, don't come to us and ask and speak with us. We have no problems to help you out.
Unless you're trying to compete.
So the Slovenian guys, we are not here.
If you come to us and ask how to solve the hard challenges, well, maybe not. Yeah, I'll be holding a workshop for binary exploitation and reverse engineering tomorrow, starting at 12:30 in the CTF area. It will take about 2 hours and will roughly cover the basics because you can't cover everything in 2 hours. But I'm there the whole day, so if you're interested in something more, you can still come around and ask me.
I will have the web workshop for web challenges. Will also be a rough 1 hour, 32 hours, and show you intro, how to start for web challenge, what to check out, what tools you can use, some simple Python intro with requests, for example. And it will be tomorrow at 14:30, also in the CTF area after the reversing workshop. So what to bring? Bring your laptop, preferably running Linux or BSD. We also accept people with Windows, it's not a big deal, but we will maybe have problems at some challenges.
Yeah, if you attend, at least if you attend my workshop, because there are some tools and the binaries are usually running on Linux, and you only have a Windows machine, you can ask me and I will create you an account on a virtual machine where you can test the tools and solve the challenges.
So we'll have a server where you can connect and have a Linux environment and work there if you like. That's not a problem. So basic knowledge about programming is probably needed for some exploits, especially in the binary exploitation, reverse engineering area. And bring motivation. We want that people learn some stuff, that they try stuff out, and of course if they have question, come and ask us. But the biggest thing is we are doing it because we have fun with it and we like to motivate people to also enjoy the capture the flag stuff. And it's an interesting thing because you learn a lot of stuff. Sometimes the learning curve is quite high, but after you manage to solve a challenge, a hard one, you're really into it and say, oh nice, I really managed to do it. And so we recommend you check it at least out and have fun. We have our web page. So before the CTF, we say, okay, we want a domain for it. And we just found it was pwn.institute, it was still free, so we just bought the domain and set up on knedler.pwn.institute the CTF page with the CTFD interface. And yeah, see you at the CTF area or at the venue. If you need something, just speak with us and have fun.
Yeah.
Are there some still questions?
In case you didn't remember the website, you can always ask us. There's QR codes on the info beamer. There should be pages with QR codes hanging around.
There's propaganda around the venue.
And you can look it up at the BalCCon website, which has a CTF.
Yeah, there is a CTF subpage on the BalCCon web page. Are there still questions here? We are here and can answer probably your questions.
So you're running a CTF contest and give people access to your virtual machine as a shared instance.
What could possibly go wrong?
That's why it's that's why it's a virtual instance.
Well, so we will see, but maybe I will give you access to my real laptop that I have with me, one. We will see. What could possibly go wrong, but... And maybe you need to get root access to this laptop. No questions at all? All right, then enjoy the conference, enjoy the capture flag, and see you at least tomorrow at Rakia Leaks.